looking at 2013 and 2014. The broadcast begins in 10 seconds. WDBC Internet Television is on. I am an avatar for Michael P. Borgia. The broadcast, originating from deep behind enemy lines, is brought to you by dailyborg.com. Conservative politics for the thoughtful. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. As America deals with the consequences of the disastrous 2012 election, already fields are taking shape and candidates are filing papers for crucial elections over the next 2 years. We'll take a look at some of the key races when the broadcast continues in a moment.
Engines.
Check.
Thrusters.
Check.
Fuel.
Check.
Computers.
Check.
Social Security.
No check, go direct.
That's right, Patty. A few weeks ago, I went online to godirect.org to sign up for direct deposit. It's easy to do, and I got my cash at warp speed.
Wow, it's fast and easy. I'll sign up right now to make sure I'm prepared for our next mission.
I kind of like learning new languages.
It's like you're learning something new that you don't know yet.
It makes me feel smarter if I know more languages. You can communicate with other people. It makes me confident.
Everybody in the world doesn't speak English.
For our kids' sake, it's time to speak up for language education. Find out how at yearoflanguages.org.
It isn't hard.
It seems once again that there is no off-season and campaign season. Last week, we showed you some of the early action in the presidential race of 2016, even though the ashes are still falling after the catastrophic implosion of the American people in 2012. But before then there will be crucial elections in 2013 and 2014. Kristen Jones joins me with a look at the early dynamics of those races.
Thanks, Michael. Let's look first at 2013. There are only 2 governors' races on the calendar and no federal races. But those 2 races are often considered bellwethers of popular opinion. First, there's Virginia, which for a second straight cycle has narrowly voted for Barack Obama. But in 2009, it turned Republican, electing conservative Governor Bob McDonnell in an early indication of the power of the Tea Party. McDonnell is limited by Virginia law to 1 term, so both parties need new nominees.
Democrats are expected to nominate former National Committee Chairman Terry McAuliffe in 2013. McAuliffe sought the nomination in 2009, but got caught up in a bitter fight with his chief rival, allowing State Senator Creed Deeds to slip past him. McDonnell went to crush Deeds in the general election. This year, McAuliffe stands largely unopposed. It is Republicans who were expecting a tough primary fight, with Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli expected to square off against Lieutenant Governor Bob Bullock. But Bullock surprised many this week by announcing he won't run for governor, leaving Cuccinelli unchallenged and establishing the field for next November.
New Jersey will also elect a governor. Unlike Virginia, New Jersey has been a solid red state for 20 years now. But the corruption and incompetence of 2 consecutive Democratic governors led to the election of conservative Republican Chris Christie. Christie quickly became popular for the bipartisan manner in which he got the state legislature to agree to finally rein in its public sector unions. Then when Barack Obama so publicly failed during Hurricane Sandy, Christie shined as an example of what a leader should be. Christie filed papers to run for re-election this week.
Who his Democratic opponent will be is something of a mystery. New Jersey Democrats have a talent pool miles wide, but inches deep. Senator Bob Menendez seems content to maintain a low-profile presence in the Senate's backbenches. Frank Lautenberg, at 88 years old, is also likely to be far more comfortable sleeping in the Senate's back rows. Most of the state's House delegation is not considered to be likely executive timber. The party's most promising young talent is Cory Booker, the mayor of Newark. But Booker is believed to be more interested in a race for Lautenberg's seat in 2014. Christie's current sky-high approval ratings make him a daunting target for Booker's first statewide race. If Booker opts for 2014, that leaves Christie right with a seemingly clear path to a second term.
Midterm elections are often unkind to incumbent presidents, and there is little chance that Barack Obama will be any exception. He took a sound thumping in 2010, and he begins his second term with approval ratings about 10 to 14 points lower than he began his first. And many of those ratings are buoyed by dramatic oversampling of Democrats in most polls. Republicans will have plenty of House pickup chances going into 2014. New Hampshire's 2 House seats are hot potatoes, each having changed hands 3 times in the last 4 cycles. Mia Love is almost certain to run again in Utah's 4th district, while Allen West would be a prohibitive early favorite in Florida's 18th district. As many as a dozen other Democrats won by a slender margin in an electorate that will be far less favorable in 2014 than it was in 2012.
Republican Senate prospects also appear bright. Not a single one of the 10 Republican seats up for election in 2014 appears to be vulnerable. Democrats will be defending several weak incumbents. Mary Landrieu of Louisiana may find herself confronted with the state's ultra-popular Governor Bobby Jindal, who is term limited in 2015. Alaska's Mark Bijak is very unpopular, given that he won his first term in a fluke, after Senator Ted Stevens was convicted before the election, then vindicated afterwards. Al Franken is also unpopular in Minnesota. In all, as many as 10 Democratic seats are considered vulnerable in a midterm environment.
For Republicans, the key to big Senate gains is to avoid what failed their prospects in the last 2 cycles: bad candidates. The party has already gotten its wishes in West Virginia and in South Dakota. Former Governor Mike Rounds has announced an exploratory committee in South Dakota, while Representative Shelley Moore Capito has announced she will challenge for the seat of elderly Senator Jay Rockefeller. The Senate is the Republicans for the taking if they can nominate more Rounds and more Capitos and fewer Akins and O'Donnells.
Thanks, Kristen. Next, the president's lose-lose decision over Susan Rice. Thoughts on Rice and the Benghazi scandal when the broadcast continues in a moment.
What if I didn't come from a famous family? What if I didn't have all their support? What if I didn't have all these opportunities? Believe me, it wouldn't be pretty. Pause before you play.
What the? Can I help you?
I'm depression. I've come for you.
Pardon me?
Depression, you know? I get people angry, keep them up at night, give them anxiety. Muddle with their heads.
That's
crazy. Yeah. Actually, the government likes to refer to me as a mental illness.
Well, shouldn't you be wearing a cape or a...
So people can see me coming? This is perfect. I got 20% of all Canadians already. I can get anybody.
The president seems hell-bent on nominating Susan Rice to be his new Secretary of State. Meanwhile, Rice continues her self-destruction tour. In a recent meeting with Senators Ayotte, McCain and Graham, Senator Graham came away feeling even more disturbed than he did before. Now even Senator Susan Collins, who votes as often with Democrats as she does with Republicans, is sounding the alarms. For the president, it's a lose-lose proposition. If he nominates Rice and she's filibustered to defeat, it's a humiliation for the president. If he does not nominate her, minorities will be enraged and he will be perceived as having backed down. But that's probably the better course. But we think he's more likely to nominate her out of hubris. For the American people, we'd all be better off if the president would recognize his UN ambassador for what she is. Fried rice. You have been assimilated.